What's up, everybody? You are off stage with DWP, special VIP edition. He is a hard man to track down, but with us is CEO of Velvet Hammer and dear friend of DWP, Beno. Beno,
Hey.
thank you for joining us, dude.
Thank you for having me, man. Much obliged.
So for those who don't know, listening to Offstage, Beno's resume is Hall of Fame. It's sick. Beno manages alongside a team that includes System of a Down, Korn, Alice in Chains, Deftones, Smashing Pumpkins, AFI, and a band that's really on the rise that we all love, Code Orange. That's a hell of a list, man. So I want to start from the top. I want to bring it back. I want to go into Beno's childhood for a minute, if we can. I want to go POV in Beno's bedroom. Dude, let's go to like 14, 15 years, 16 years old. What posters were in your bedroom?
US Festival, Motley Crue at the US Festival. You know, I went through my ska period where it was Bad Manners, it was Fun Boy 3, it was Madness, it was, you know, those bands.
Selector, Specials.
100%.
Hell yeah, loved it too.
You know, with the Vespa, and everyone was mod, and they had the British flag on their Vespas in high school. And you know, I never conformed to one per se, but I loved all music. And at heart, I was always a rocker. You know, when the '80s metal came through, and I was in high school, or excuse me, when I was in elementary school, at the end of my elementary school in 8th grade, and it was all, you know, Ozzy, and it was Maiden, and even it was the hair metal after. You know, the real ones made it through, but there was also the hair metal with Kicks and Trickster and all that stuff, you know, that I kind of dabbled in. But I always loved the rock.
Well, you know, you remember the band The Untouchables?
Oh yeah, they were great.
Remember the On Club?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. This is LA folklore, everybody. So like East Sunset Strip stuff.
Wait.
No Untouchables, no doubt. I'll tell you that right now. You know, that was a band that heavily influenced.
Heavily.
Even like Fishbone, and then from there. The US Festival. You and I have never talked about that. I went to day 3, which was Bowie's first concert in a decade with Stevie Nicks and a young band out of Ireland called U2.
Yep.
Did you go to like?
I didn't go, but I remember opening the magazine and seeing the US Festival, and I had a cork board in my bedroom, and I put the picture up of Motley Crue. But one thing that I did go to, which was incredible, was Monsters of Rock. I believe when Dokken opened, it was Dokken, Metallica. There was a bunch of bands on it, and the helicopters were flying above. I think it was like it must have been 85, 86.
LA Coliseum?
15. Yeah, I think it was the Coliseum. Yeah. And those were my first shows. You know, I went and saw Rush when I was 13, Grace Under Pressure. You know, that was like my first formal show after seeing Motley Crue at the Troubadour. Like I saw that when I was, you know, I snuck out at 12, 13, but the first show I went to, I think was Rush, Grace Under Pressure.
All right, well, I'll geek out with you. I was 16 years old. I went with my buddy Joshua Barbanel, Motley Crue, New Year's Eve, Troubadour. We were 16.
So what year was that?
82.
Yeah, see, I was 12 at that time, so I think I just started seeing shows at 13 maybe, but I knew I snuck out, and I did see Crue at Troubadour, and I was like, oh my God, who is, and it was just a whole thing, but it was real. It was real.
Yeah, what I loved about it was 2 things. One, it had a real punk ethic. What people may not realize about Motley Crue, they were like, people who like Black Flag and Circle Jerks would talk about that first Motley Crue album.
Yeah.
And yes, they went more to metal, hair metal, but they had a completely punk ethic about them. They were renegades, other side of the tracks, and like the band X. I loved Motley Crue.
Oh yeah.
And dude, so David Lee Roth walked on stage with 2 like blonde Sunset Strip. I was a 16-year-old little West LA boy. I felt like I landed on a different planet watching this show, and David Lee Roth with a bottle of Jack, like, hey, this is the next fucking Van Halen, and here comes Motley Crue, and Nikki Sixx putting himself on fire, and Tommy twirling.
Yeah,
it was wild.
That was the first band, I think, that and the, you know, Crue, they had the glitz, they had the glam, but they were fucking real. And nobody can deny Too Fast for Love. When Too Fast for Love came out, and even Shout at the Devil, those records were seminal, right? And sort of like galvanized the hair metal look, but with a real band, and they made it through to the other side. When they all fell off, Motley Crue was still there. Then you had, in my perception, and again, I was really young at the time, I was 12, but then you had the bands that were like formidable, like Metallica coming up. And Metallica, like, I mean, that band was just like revered from the get-go. They were to be reckoned with. And Ozzy and Maiden and all those were real. Those weren't going anywhere, right? And then you had a bunch in the middle that were sort of like, there's just some bands that had great records, but that never made it through, like Rat. Rat had great hits, but it didn't have the staying power that Motley Crue had, and certainly not over here that Metallica, Ozzy, Maiden, those bands had,
Were you able to, like back in the day, to be a fan of the Untouchables and Specials and Selector, but to be a fan of Metallica and Slayer? That wasn't really like acceptable. How did you navigate that one?
Well, at heart, I was always metal first. Like when I heard Garages and I heard, when I first heard Kill 'Em All, I was scared, I was confused, I was wowed, I was allured. The ska scene to me was awesome because I had so many friends that shaved their head and they had the Vespas and they had, it was all ska.
Trench coat.
And it was cool, but my heart wasn't in it. As you see, 30, 40 years later with the bands I managed, I was always more intrigued musically by rock music than I was by ska or, and also grunge. When grunge came about, Alice in Chains, now I managed the band, was the reason I got into the music business, literally. They were, when Facelift came out, I would listen to that and it was just like, I remember calling Lisa Slakransky, who at the time worked for Peter Paterno. She was my buddy. I'm like, please just send me anything. What do they do? And I would always call her for information because that record like brought me into the music business.
So Alice was like this bridge gap for you. It kind of combined metal, punk ethic, style. It really checked all your boxes, huh?
Yeah, it really did. There was something about that record and that band. It was heavy as fuck. It was irreverent. It was real. It was, that whole scene. It was, Alice, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Mother Love, all that stuff came out. But Alice is the one I really, really took to as a fan. Hearing when I put that disc on and We Die Young came on, and that riff came on, it was like, is it metal? Is it rock? Is it pop? Is it punk? It had everything.
The one thing that and you and I have talked about this in the past. I'm a song guy, and I know you are too. But you love it hard and you like it authentic. Alice had great songs. Motley Crue's first 2 albums, great songs. Right.
Rick Rubin, I was so lucky when I first started in the music business to learn under Rick Rubin, who signed System of a Down, my first band I got signed, and really explained the importance of song. But more so watched him how he reduced a great song into a top line and an acoustic. And whether it's a Beatles song or a System song or a Post Malone song or a Madonna song, at the end of the day, what's the top line? Is it memorable? And what's the song? Now, I'm a huge Tool fan. It's not so much intro, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, bridge, chorus, bridge, out, whatever. It's more about the culture of it. And I love that too. But a great song is a great song.
Right on. Before we get into Velvet Hammers, we're off stage with DWP. We have Beno on with us, who manages System and Korn and Deftones and Alice and the Pumpkins. But I first want to talk about Streetwise, because there was a great quote, and you taught me this, and I'm paraphrasing, but you used to say the first 100,000 records are the hardest ones to sell. Yeah,
and I believe that.
I do too. That for first to third gear is like so hard to do. Once you're in third gear, third to fifth is hard.
Yeah.
But if you could talk about that first gear, that first 100,000 and what Streetwise was, because it explains so much what you're about and what your team is about and Wakefield and everybody.
So, what makes the first impression stick at the street level, and what makes that impression permeate? You and I are now music executives, and There's record label heads, and they can sign anything they want and put it out and push it and put money behind it and almost force feed it. But the magic of a band, the magic is the culture. When things are happening at the street level and it's spreading on its own, the hush puppy phenomenon, when it just spreads virally, and before it gets to guys at the top, there's this street swell you smell, you feel, you can't even deny it. So when I started with System, it was this Armenian band out of LA, and I'd go to a show and I see their fans, you know, albeit it was at the smaller level, they were crazy. They'd come in with these giant flags, and this music would go on, and the band would come out, and it was at the Roxy or the Troubadour or the Whiskey that you'd have chills in the building, because something was going on in that microcosm that was so palpable. It was spine chilling. And so when Rick Rubin signed System, I knew that I had a band that was very left of center. I knew I had a band that was important, that was cultural, that was very real. And in my opinion, when it's real, go slow. If it's that real, go slow. Let it precipitate at its organic pace. So Rick always backed me. It was Rick and Don Einer, and I remember going in there and saying, hey, look, this band is giant in LA. They're so important. I need to replicate this across the country before we go to radio. And in the deal, we actually wrote in that they couldn't go to radio until the band had sold 75,000 records. That was in the deal. I had it written in the deal.
Smart.
So Rick was a giant supporter. Don Einer at the time, God bless him, was amazing, wanted to swing the bat. And I went in there, I said, look.
Okay, how'd you hold him back?
I mean, he got it though. He believed in it. He believed in my vision. He believed in the band. And I said to them, I need you to support me, and I want to make 100,000 tapes of this demo that got them signed. And they backed it 100%. And there were some people in the building that says, he wants to give away free music, this young 24-year-old, what the hell? And they're like, let him do it. And they backed me. And what I did is I started going in chat rooms with my friends. I was 25 at the time, and 24, 25. And literally I was going in a dial-up modem. I'd plug it in, go online. It was a Pantera chat room and a Roadrunner chat room of all places. Those were the only two chat rooms I could find on my dial-up. And I'd write, has anybody heard of System of a Down? A lot of the kids were outside of LA, obviously, and they said no. And my buddies would come over. We'd fucking roll up a doobie, smoke a joint, and literally I'd have a tape to tape, and I would tape it, tape to tape before I got my huge allotment. And we'd send out packages across the country of these kids of this demo. And we'd write their name down in their city, and then I got a map and started putting them on the map, and that's what launched Streetwise and created this crazy sort of unification of this young metal band called System of a Down.
So Streetwise and System were kind of simultaneously.
Yeah, I never started Streetwise to start a business. I started Streetwise as a mechanism and apparatus to help market a band that I knew was one of a kind.
So we're off stage with DWP. The last 4 minutes or whatever of what Beno just talked about, if you're a band on planet Earth right now, just rewind that and fucking make a tape of just those last 4 minutes, because that's the grind and the roll up the sleeves and getting your fingernails dirty shit that you have to do if you want to be a real rock band. Because like you said, it's not American Idol. There is no short circuit. There shouldn't be, in our opinion, to have like a career as a rock band. Beno, could that work in 2020?
I mean, it has to work. There's a lot more traffic, okay? With technology and the emergence of the internet, and I could make a beat and push post and I'm an artist, and that happens. So it's harder, you know. I have a band called Code Orange that's as real as it gets. We've been working for 6 years, grinding, doing it the right way. And a kid who has a great vision, clear vision with Jamie Morgan in that band. And it just takes time, and you have to cut through a lot more spam. That's the reality. It's harder. Radio today, very different format. You know, what is radio these days? It's you know, you worked in radio. We worked together on records when you were at Interscope.
Yes.
And independently. I mean, it's a different thing. I do believe that if it's that real, it's going to find its way. It just takes longer, and it takes more patience, and it takes a lot of chaperoning. You know, I mean, big bands that are, you know, tentpole rock bands in that world, need to, that, rock isn't predicated so much on radio as pop is. You're a backpack rapper or a pop artist, you get on pop radio, it's fine, it's still the way it is. But rock radio and alternative radio, what is it now? It's a different thing. Right. So it takes a lot longer. I do believe that if a band is a spectacle live and they're that good live and their message and their songs are good, it's going to permeate, it's going to come up. I mean, I just believe, I have to believe it will.
You thank you for bringing the Hush Puppies analogy. You once said an amazing thing to me in passing, and it probably goes to Deftones maybe more than any band on your roster, is it has to play in the classroom. If you remember that line, which kind of goes to the Hush Puppies. And that's very, again, people want this short circuit to fame so much, but it's got to start from this groundswell. Can you kind of explain what you meant to me by it has to work in the classroom?
Well, it starts at that level of the street, of kids going in and kids talking about it. Again, I think that, your kids, how old are your kids now?
23 and 21.
Okay, so even they're at the older age now, right? So that when they were 15, 17, you knew what they were listening to and why, totally. Right? So whether they hear it on the radio or they hear it at the street level, they're talking about that. If there's a kid in high school that finds a tape or a logo or a clothing brand or a song and it's that great, that person's talking to their friend about it. And it could be someone that finds a System of a Down demo. It could be a kid that hears a song on the radio. It could be a jersey from Supreme. It could be anything. But it starts at that level and it permeates and it works its way up, if it's real, in my opinion. Sometimes, once in a while, you can stuff it from the top down, and sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't. But starting in the classroom is starting at the origin. That's ground zero. I heard about Metallica Kill 'Em All from a senior when I was in 8th grade, and my brother was buddies with this cool senior in high school, and he came to the house, and I was like in 7th or 8th grade. He was like, "This is the fucking band you need to be listening to, kid." And I heard, I was like, "Oh my god!" From there on, it was like, "Oh my god, I had to see it."
We're off stage with DWP. We have Beno, who is CEO of Velvet Hammer. Wimmer, my brother in arms, will say Beno has turned the word no into an art form. You're very good at saying no, and there's power in no. And I mean it by two things. Every band I mentioned, usually when you talk to a big time manager, a rock manager, you always fail to bring up a couple bands on the roster, right? But I just named every band on your roster, right? So you're a less is more guy. You're a quality over quantity guy. And you're not afraid to say no, but it must be hard sometimes because you're turning down money, you're turning down opportunity. It's just it's kind of a compliment. It drives us promoters crazy, but it's more mad respect that way too.
Yeah, saying no is never a strategic sort of like I'm just going to say no to say no. I never say it unless I mean it, and great management is having the ability to position your artist in the marketplace per what's right for that artist at that time and for long-term success. And sometimes long-term success comes in the form of saying no in the short-term instant gratification, right? So like for instance with Korn, when I signed Korn, we made a brain trust decision as a band and management that we're going to pull the band off the road for 2 years. And saying no to a lot. What's that?
Which they had never done.
Which they had never done.
Yeah.
That's, Korn's a touring band.
Right.
But if we were going to get the band to where they deserved to be, we needed to create a little scarcity, pull it back, and let the band breathe a little bit. But in doing so, we said no to a lot of money. But our brothers over at Live Nation and Mike Rapino, who's a believer in artist development and long-term artist health, had our back and helped us out, and we pulled them off the road. And then they came back last year and had the biggest tour in history. And took out Alice and co-headline and did 12,000 tickets a market, had Faith No More this year ready to go, and the band is going up. They made an amazing record. But it takes time, and it takes looking inward, not asking outward for money and taking the quick dollar. You got to be able to – it's staying power. It's shelf life. And you got to say no.
Well, Korn for us, as you know, with DWP, has become a full-fledged headline act for us.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that they're just awesome live, but I think how you've kind of taken their vehicle and steered it the right way. And that's management.
If
really.
The band is real, I'm in. And Korn, I watched them coming up. we managed System and Deftones and Alice and all those. We watched Korn and what they did and the doors they opened. And I always knew they were real. I've always been a fan. And they needed to be partnered with the right person that saw the upside, with that band. And so I'm happy that my work is recognized, but it starts with, is the band real? Are they that great? And I believe on my roster, the reason I only manage those 7 or 8 bands is because I believe in every one of them wholeheartedly, and I'm willing to go to the mat, whether they're making me millions or making me nothing. It doesn't matter. They get the same attention, the same love, because I believe in the art.
So as a manager, do you agree or disagree that you are a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, a therapist, a landlord, when they call, you can't think of Beno first. You have to,
I mean, I'm very lucky to have an amazing staff, and I have my role with the bands, and Mark has his role, and Samantha has her role, and Taryn has her, they all have their roles. At the end of the day, I take it very personally if something happens where we fall short to make them happy in any one vertical of their lives. It falls on Velvet Hammer and me because it's my company. Really, me and Mark run the show, so we're very much like mom and dad in terms of like protection and rollout and making sure that they are insulated the way they need to be. So yeah, I mean, the right manager is not just there for the big shows. The right manager is there for the tough times too, and the roll up the sleeves moments, and the, hey, let's have the tough discussions. Let's talk about it. And I don't always get my way. My artists are very, they're special. They're opinionated. They have vision. And, if I can stimulate thought in them and really push something and it works, then great. But at least if I make them think about it, even if they end up saying no, it stimulates their thought to make sure that they're going to market with the right and the most bulletproof plan.
Right on. Quick shout out to Mark Wakefield. I think this is a good time to cue a photo of him. So we'll get that. He needs his props. Tip, everybody, if you need fantasy football advice, call Wake. Dude,
Wake and Jerry Cantrell, those guys kill it.
Super quick, back to Alice. So when you took that first meeting, did you talk to Jerry that,
Yeah.
You said, face this, you have to understand what you and Alice meant to me and means to me. I probably wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for you and that record.
I mean, I don't know if I said it in those terms, but I remember flying out to Houston to the arena, to the shed there. They were on tour, and Mark and I went in and had a meeting there. And I think, look, you know me, you've known me for so long, man. You know me, my eyes don't lie. I mean, when I'm lit up and I'm excited, I'm gonna go get it. And if not, then you're gonna know. Alice represented so much for me and still do. Again, I never chased the money. I never got into management because I was like, I'm going to be a manager. I chased what my heart told me was my love and what I thought I could make a difference in. My dad's a doctor. My brother's a lawyer. My uncle's was a doctor. My grandpa was a doctor. My cousins, they're doctors and lawyers, and I was sort of the black sheep. But I was always
you are so the black sheep.
My parents brought me up to follow your dream, and you can do anything. And so Alice was that hook. That record and Dirt were the hooks that got me in to really sort of like, oh my God, this is sort of like, I don't have a choice here. I have to do what I have to do here,
Right on. Before we wrap up, I always, Wimmer and I and everybody at DWP always feel that you and Wake are these A-level hands-on managers. What I mean by hands-on is like songwriting to studio to record to sequencing to picking the single to marketing and promotion to touring to you get involved in the staging. One of my favorite moments of Beno in my life was soundboard System of a Down at Sonic Temple 2019, and out of nowhere a very large snare hit came in on the drum, and you immediately jumped on the sound man. It was like one snare hit. It was just a pop. It was very random, and out of the 40,000 people there, maybe 39,994 people didn't even notice. But you did. It's a two-parted question. One is, your peers, you're the big-time rock managers out there. Are they hands-on like you are?
I don't know. I mean, I think, listen, I have a lot of respect for a lot of managers out there, and they're great at different things. I know my playbook. And I believe in my world, for my artists, there's no one in the world that does what we can do. And it's because we do it our way. But, you look at the Montones and you look at the Menches and you look at, all those great managers out there and there's a lot of them. They do what's right for their artists, and they do it well because look at their roster. For me, when I take a meeting with an artist for the first time, I forewarn them that I'm a blue collar guy. I want to get in there. I want to get to the bottom of it. I want to open the hood from songs to presence to socials to how you tour to your state, and get in there and get dirty with you. Let's get dirty and let's go get it. And sometimes I've had meetings before with artists where they're like, he's way too hands on. We can't do it. I'm like, no problem. And the artists that want it, we do it. So I'm going to say from the beginning that, yeah, I'm much more on the hands-on approach, and that's what I do and how I do it. And if I'm not right, then I'm not right, and that's okay. So, Chris Roberts, our production manager for System of a Down, whenever I go out, he's funny. He's like, it was a great show tonight, Beno. I'm like, how do you know? And he said, because I didn't get 100 texts, so the fucking curtains crew, the this, the light, so I care so much, about it. So, we're making a Deftones record right now, just finished, and a Smashing Pumpkins record. And we're getting involved with everything with our artists and stimulating their thought from song to sequence to everything. And again, these are amazing visionaries. But if our interaction makes them think about it more, isn't that a plus?
So, and I think you've covered it, and by everybody listening to this, is there any tips that you can give to whether it's a band or a person who wants to get into the industry, who wants to manage? Is there any? I think you've given them some gold nuggets here, but if there's anything you've left out, by all means.
I would just say, look, if you believe in something wholeheartedly, 1,000%, stay your course. The second you have doubt, if you don't believe in it and you're doing it for the reason of being in the music business, question it. But if it's undeniable and in your heart it drives you, stay the course, because it's lonely. Remember, back when I was 24, pedaling a couple bands around, people like, what's this? It took time. And that's okay. I knew it. There was never a question in my heart. That's the first thing. The second thing is you see the same people on the way up as you do on the way down. So every single person you meet, whether it's a door person to a promoter to the bartender to the guy handing out flyers, it doesn't matter. We're all equal. It doesn't matter creed, doesn't matter race, color, gender. Every single person you meet, you treat with respect the way you want to be treated, because they're the same people that you're going to see forever, and everyone's equal no matter their stature. What matters is that you have love in the marketplace and that you represent yourself and your band with class. And that's sort of what my parents taught me. Like, nothing matters without class. I don't manage through a textbook. I manage through spirituality and through moving energy and making it go the right way. And it all happens in the sky. And you got to get to know it, that things happen for a reason, man.
Beno, thank you, brother. Next time I want to see you in person backstage at a big DWP festival so we could fucking celebrate live music again, okay?
Again, thank you so much. I just want to say, Wimmer, Spivak, always amazing. You guys have been so good to me and my bands, and you've always been straight shooters. I love you. We need more guys like you. And just on an artistic and a cultural level, I respect and appreciate so much what you guys have built for the rock community and the rock world, because it's been a huge, huge help. And rock music is real. It's getting bigger. It's never going away. And you guys are right at the forefront of it. So I give you guys much respect for towing the line.
Well, we're going to keep on waving this flag, man.
Keep going, brother.
Keep going. All right. Peace. Later.
Peace. Thank you.